Okay. Yeah. What's up, people? How you doing? How you living? How you feeling? Hopefully, you've had a fantastic day and you are ready to talk some 2024 rookies, because that's what we're here to do. We are bringing you our second ever 2024 Superflex Dynasty rookie draft, and we are excited to dive into the nitty gritty, talk about all the names, and have conversations to agree, to disagree, to be open-minded. You know, that's what we're here to do. Yeah. And
here we go.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good time. Let us know who's in the chat. We see Casey. Casey says 141 days until the NFL draft.
Oh, boy. We already got a countdown going. We need a countdown, too. We need a road to 10K, which we see. Shout out to you. We need a countdown to the NFL draft, which seems excessive.
Yeah, I mean, how many countdowns can we have? We are on the road to 10K, under 800 away now, which is awesome. Our goal is to get there by the end of 2023. We see a Dominic, we see a Peter. Let's go Brian Thompson in the first round.
Call it. Talk it up.
It's catching.
It's catching. That's what you need. It does. It flows, doesn't it? Brian Thompson. I don't know. For me, like Brian Thomas, you have to stop. Like it's like a hard cut. You just want to let it flow. You know, Brian Thompson.
Okay.
Brian Thomas.
Okay.
Brian Thomas.
Mystic Flame, what's up, my man? Welcome in. He says, are we answering questions right now? I think we want to get into the mock draft. We'll do a Q&A at the end, okay, guys? We'll do a Q&A at the end. But let's get, I know what everyone's here for. Let's get straight into the mock draft. So if people want to join today's mock draft, Badaki, how can they go about doing so? We will leave time, guys, I promise. At the end of the stream, we'll leave some time. We'll answer some questions. But y'all know what we're here to do. So how can people join today's mock draft?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to join today's mock drafts, all you have to do is join the Discord. Link in the description and link is in the chat. As you can see, once you join that link, go to the the Flock tab under Fantasyland, if that makes any sense. I'll repeat that one more time. Join our Discord, then go to the Fantasyland tab on the left with the orange footballs. Then go to content releases. That's exactly where I'll be posting a link to each and every mock draft, whether it's mock draft now or mock drafts in the future, okay? Whether you're here new for the first time or maybe you're watching later. So once again, join the Discord.
Yeah, right here on the left-hand side under Fantasyland in the Discord, you said content releases.
Content releases.
I'll put a little message here so people know where the link is coming. But it's first come, first serve. We can't control who's getting in here.
First come, first serve, and since it's early, you have better opportunities to get in now, because once the season's over, it's going to be really difficult, guys. So shout out to you guys. I'll send this link out here right now in 3, 2, 1. There you go. That link is officially out.
All right, so
I'm enjoying.
While people are joining, let's all get on the same page here. So here's how this is going to work. We've done our little Photoshop magic, so you'll be able to see the actual names of the players. But here's how it will work. Today's stream will be a little bit more in-depth conversations. We won't talk about landing spots yet. We'll implement landing spots next week. It'll be a little bit more in-depth conversations, so it might be a longer one. Keep that in mind. Hopefully you're down for those conversations. But what will happen when it's your turn, you will draft a kicker, and then you will put in the sleeper chat who you are drafting, and then I will go ahead and put it on the board for you. So keep that in mind. That's how it's going to work in today's stream. Going to be a good one. Lots of great convos. We see you, Sam, in the chat. We see you, Andrew. We see you, Brandon. We see you, Andrew Hayes. Mock Season's here. What's up, Merv? Sorry. Just Dak is in the stream as well. We still have 2 spots left as well. Again, join the Discord if you want to be a part of today's Dynasty mock draft. 2 spots. Yesterday it filled, or last time we were here, it filled up real quick. So I'm surprised there's still some spots left. But I'll send that link one more time to the Discord. Again, join the Discord. In the Discord, right under the Fantasyland tab here, you'll see the content releases tab. And in that tab is where we just sent the mock draft link for you guys to join. So 2 spots away from being all filled up. Maybe go ahead and send that in the other Discord as well. And tag everyone. Mike says he has his shirt off. You love to see it. Super flex. This is super flex. It's not tight end premium though. We'll do no tight end premium today. So super flex, no tight end premium. But yeah, it's been really fun scouting this class. Kind of trying to get on the same page, Badaki and I, as far as not having the same opinions, but making sure we're all scouted. But yeah, man, really surprised that there's 2 spots left. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I said, this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to join now, because as the season goes on,
1 spot left
or
now.
as the season ends, essentially,
And we're full.
it is going to be tough there. So,
all right, so let's all get on the same page, Badaki. One last time. This is how this is going to work. We are doing a Dynasty Superflex rookie draft. There is no tight end premium. You will select a kicker. We'll pause. You'll put in the sleeper chat who you are selecting with that pick. We'll go ahead and talk about the player, and then we'll move on to the next one. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and let Just Dak at the 101 make his pick, and I'll go ahead and get rid of any timer because it doesn't really make sense for this format. But let's see what Just Dak is going to do here at the 101. Brian Thompson, baby. You know what's funny is this nickname's going to catch on, and then later people who aren't in on the joke are going to be like,
I really hope that somebody in TV media just messes up and says Brian Thompson once.
Yeah.
And then it's over. It's over.
So you and I said this a lot on the first stream, which was 2 days ago. But at this point of the offseason, it's just my personal belief that if anyone is telling you that you cannot select anyone wherever you want to select them, I just think like, hey, it's okay right now to experiment. It's okay to go out on a limb. It's okay to try different things. It's okay to hear differences of opinion. And here at the 101, I think you can make a case for it. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. Just Dak has taken Marvin Harrison Jr. at the 101. Lots of great quarterbacks in this class. We know that there are many, many elite players, and he's decided to go after Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State. You and I talked about this yesterday on the one quarterback video, but there's really nothing that he doesn't do well. There's nothing that he doesn't excel at. Every area of being a wide receiver in the NFL, he is going to succeed. So I don't think you can miss on that pick. So he goes here at the 101.
And just to kind of build up off that, because I've been thinking about it, is like, this may sound crazy and absurd, and it's still really early, but it doesn't feel like he's going to fail. Where there is still an opportunity for Caleb and Drake May to fail based off of their landing spot. So like, you can get a for sure thing for what it feels like. Not saying that Marvin Harrison is going to be a for sure thing. Yeah. But the fact that it just feels like, yo, if I can get this top wide receiver that's going to be a top 5, top 6 dynasty guy for the next couple of years or 10 plus years, then I'm buzzing, because once again, that little chance makes you second guess if Caleb Williams or Drake May or Jaden Daniels, whoever's going to be at the 102 here, or wherever, opportunities you do have, it's like, maybe I should just take the sure thing of Marvin Harrison.
Typically, you would say take the best player available, right? But at this point, like, Marvin Harrison Jr. is as good as a prospect as the quarterbacks available in this class. So, yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I don't hate this. I don't think there is a consensus 101 right now. However, there are 2 players I would personally consider. But Marvin Harrison Jr. goes at the 101. What can he not do? I mean, he's great at every aspect of the game. You see shades of all these Hall of Famers in his game. Great route runner, incredible contested catcher, beautiful hands, silky smooth after the catch. I mean, there's nothing that this kid can't do.
The whole package.
And one hell of a coaching, mentorship around him as he grew up as well with his father. But all right, Brando is here at the 102. And let's see what he does with this pick. I think there's an obvious choice, but we'll see.
We'll see.
He says in the chat, argument for it for sure, especially if you have 3 solid quarterbacks already. So Brandon says, give me Caleb. All right, so Caleb Williams comes off the board here at the 102 in a super flex league. At the moment, Badaki, and I'm still going to be open to my opinion changing on this. at the moment, I think you got to go one of these two names to begin the draft. I think
100%.
This is my 102. You can put it different ways. You can make an argument for both of these names, but I think it has to be one of these names.
Yeah, it has to be one of these guys, Marvin Harrison or Caleb Williams here, and he is this generational type talent. I think I would say he is the only quarterback I believe is being tagged with generational talent. I haven't heard of a generational talent tag on Drake May personally as of yet. I could be. I mean, please let me know if anyone out there believes that. But so far in the media, Caleb May, generational talent.
Caleb May.
Caleb Williams here. I know Caleb May. Caleb Williams, generational talent, someone that is going to come in and change your franchise as he walks into the building. So yeah, 101 or 102. I agree with you.
Yeah, 100%. Mystic Flame makes a good point, and we're, again, guys, we're not arguing against any stance that you have here. He says, why not draft Caleb and trade him for a proven wide receiver? Well, keep in mind, you have then got to find a wide receiver that you value more than Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know about you, Badaki, but the day he's drafted for me, I don't know how he's not in tier 1, inside the top 5. Do I want Marvin Harrison or CeeDee Lamb? Do I want Marvin Harrison or AJ Brown? Do I want Marvin Harrison or, it's going to be hard to find that guy who needs Caleb Williams and has one of those elite wide receivers.
Yeah.
So there's a multitude of different things that you could accomplish, depending on what you're looking to do. By the way, shout out to S. Harris for the super chat. Appreciate you, man.
We
Thanks
appreciate
for donating.
you. Thank you so much.
He says, much love. Y'all are my favorite Dynasty source. Do you see a clear-cut top 4 in one quarterback as Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Odunze, and Bowers in that order? Now, here's what I'll say to all the one quarterback people. Y'all know we do our best to show you some love. We do a weekly video where we do a one quarterback mock draft. We talk about landing spots. In fact, we just released our first one quarterback mock draft.
It was fun
last night. Well, this morning for you guys who are watching over where you are, so you can see what the first round looked like for us. Let's say the first 4 picks. What was the order he said? Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, Odunze, Bowers. That's exactly how it went in this mock that we did yesterday. But
those are landing spots that came in that as well.
100%. Yeah, I mean, as of now, that's how I would have it. If you have a tight end premium, you can make the case for Bowers over Odunze. I think I probably would go that way, actually. But it's so early. Things can change for sure.
So much can change, especially with landing spots. If Bauer doesn't go to a team that it is liked, or same thing with Odunze, all that can change for sure. 100%. We appreciate that super chat, though. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very kind. By the way, I just wanted to quickly say, because I've seen, we're starting to get a feel on the community's vibe on certain players, Badaki, and, we're looking through the comment section. There's a lot of comments. We try to reply as much as we can, and there's some very, very opinionated people, which I love. All I would say is, guys, at this point in December, let's all be super open to learning more about these players, to having an open mind and not putting a player in a certain box.
100%.
Just certain players, people are just like, I don't like this. This is true. This is true. This is a fact. This is a fact. And it's like, guys, they're not even in the NFL yet, So, one of those things that I've heard a lot recently is that Caleb Williams is just overrated. He's overrated. He's not actually good, and I think a lot of people dislike the way he carries himself specifically, which...
And I think that is the biggest difference out of the... Sorry to interrupt, but that is the biggest difference out of the quarterbacks we've seen in the past that got in the first, very clean cut, polished, respectable, doesn't speak up at times. He only speaks up on the field. Caleb Williams, I feel like, is the first quarterback in a long time that is talking shit or has talking about the NFL, that is bringing his opinions before he's even in the NFL. Yeah. Which is a big difference for a lot of people.
100%. So just keep that in mind. I personally think he's an elite prospect. And, people keep talking about how he had so many losses this year. If you watch those games, like Caleb, literally, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, every single snap meant so much on offense for USC to either win or lose a game. And that's because of how truly terrible the entire talent around him was this year on both sides of the ball. I said this earlier, but teamrankings.com, they track 133 college football teams in the Power 5. So out of 133 college football teams tracked by that website, USC ranked 119th in defensive points allowed, meaning they were like, the bottom 10% in defense. And meanwhile, they scored the 4th most points per game as an offense. So Caleb, every single chance he had was trying to just run the numbers up because he knew that defense was not going to stop anyone. You and I talked about this a little bit in the wide receiver videos, but I am more and more impressed with Caleb Williams the more I scout those wide receivers at USC, the more I scout the talent around him. It's just, I think he absolutely maximized everything that he could out of USC. I don't see a reason for him not to declare. You agree?
Agree, completely agree. I mean, he goes into a team that has just one above average wide receiver than he had at USC. A lot of things can change there. But we did get another super chat here. We appreciate
Matt
you.
just donated and says, y'all aren't ready when I trade up to the 101 in the Juliet League and draft Brock Bowers. Hey, do it, man.
Go ahead, do it. Yeah, I mean, I'll be happy with that.
Absolutely. Do it. But thank you for the donation, man. But Badaki, you're on the clock here. A lot of options. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking here?
This one's fairly simple to me. I think he's my QB2. I know this is a little bit different for a lot of people. That is Drake May. I think one of the 2 most completed quarterbacks coming into this class right here. 6'4", 230 pounds. Great deep ball passing. Deep ball passing grade was 3rd so far this year. So far coming out of college. The rushing upside is there as well, which I love. And I think that's very underrated in his game, and a lot of people don't necessarily see that. Look, he's obviously, I think you mentioned this, he's not a finished product, but I think the traits that he has and he brings, it's weird that I'm going to say this, but it's not that because I want him to come to the Giants, but he does have that smart, tough, dependable type of play in his game, and that is kind of the Giants' mantra. It doesn't matter where he goes. I think he's going to bring that and be that leader under center there. So give me Drake May from the University of North Kakalaki. Used to live in North Kakalaki, by the way. I don't know if you know that for a year. Terrible.
Apparently, you've lived everywhere.
Well, I've only lived in 3 places in Australia, so.
Okay. No, so Drake May goes off the board here. I just remember when we had that conversation about Tampa Bay. You're like, I used to live in Tampa Bay. I'm like, oh, okay.
I did.
I lived in Brooklyn. Oh, I also lived in North Carolina. I'm like, damn, son.
I've just lived in 3 places.
Military background or what?
Nah, I lived in North Carolina for 1 year, which was the worst year, genuinely, in my life. I hated North Carolina with a passion.
That's harsh.
I went from New York City to a small town that the gas stations was closed on the weekends. It had the nearest McDonald's was like 40 minutes away. The only restaurant that was there was Golden Corral.
What's wrong with Golden Corral?
I love Golden Corral, but that's the only. Give me some options.
Oh, I love it. I do like Drake May. For some reason, based on the comment sections in our videos so far, I'm turning into like this anti-Drake May person. I don't know why. I love Drake May. I think he is in the same tier as Caleb Williams. I just also have another guy in that tier with him. And I think that's turning me into like this Drake May hit. I like Drake May. I love Drake May. I think you can get a Justin Herbert type of player out of his play. There might even be some more rushing upside with the likes of Drake May in his game. So, I'm a big fan of his game. Very curious to see where he goes. But similar to Caleb Williams, the help around him was just not good this year at North Carolina. He lost Josh Downs. Devontae Walker wasn't eligible for quite some time. And, that really hurt him. The offensive line wasn't good. He was pressured 145 times, which is the 13th most amongst quarterbacks. But yeah, you mentioned it. I think he is the best deep ball thrower in the class. He was first in big time throws, sixth in big time throw percentage. He has, the perfect size, for the quarterback position. And people say size is a skill at the quarterback spot. Yeah, he's got size for days. So I like the pick there. And now we're at the 104 here. Xavier is on the clock. Xavier, go ahead and comment in the chat, the sleeper chat, who you are taking there. This is super flex. Yep, it is.
Yep.
We got some people talking about Michael Penix. Dak saying he likes Michael Penix. You'd love to see it. Jamie, this is on sleeper, but we're doing all the graphics behind the scenes with Photoshop.
Yeah.
All right. So at the 104, y'all know my guy. You know how much I love him. I actually haven't watched. I don't know about you, but I haven't watched anyone else's mock drafts yet. I'm curious to see where this player is going in other people's mocks. Like, am I crazy, or do other people kind of see what I'm seeing? I 100% think he's worthy of being drafted here. That is Jaden Daniels off the board here out of LSU. Genuine dual threat prospect. Yes, he is an incredible rushing quarterback. He's had over 1,000 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back years. He's the only player in college football history to have 350 plus and 200 plus rushing yards, passing and rushing yards in a single game. The rushing upside's through the roof. What I have found recently, just throughout looking through some of the comments, we're getting a gauge on where people stand, is that people, in my opinion, are not giving him enough respect as a passer. They're viewing him as like this rushing quarterback. I'm seeing some people talk about him in the same lights as like an Anthony Richardson from last year. And no disrespect to Anthony Richardson, but he is nowhere near the passer that Jaden Daniels is coming out of college. I'm not saying A-Rich can't get to that point, but Jaden Daniels was one of the best throwers of the ball in college football this year. He had the #1 offensive PFF grade. He had the second best passing grade according to PFF. If you want to look at NFL passer rating, he was the first graded quarterback this year. His completion percentage was over 71%, and it wasn't a dink and dunk type of offense. I mean, they were throwing the ball down the field. He had the third most big time throws. He only threw 4 interceptions, 1.6% turnover worthy play percentage. I mean, the guy takes care of the ball. He's got a good arm. Yes, he can rush, but do not overlook his passing ability. I compared him a little bit to RG3 and the likes of a Jalen Hurts. I think he's less physical than Jalen Hurts, but I think you're getting a combination of those two names as well as a little bit of Deshaun Watson in his game. I'm a huge fan of this player, and I'm glad to see that he's getting some respect here.
Yeah, look, Jaden Daniels is somebody I actually just watched the first game. What I normally do is watch 3 games, 3 to 4 games. One that I like to see a loss, and why did they lose? Was he the reason? Which was Alabama, not too long ago. So that was the one that I'm watching right now, midway through, before we got on this live stream. And there are from what I've seen so far, there are glimpses of him having that opportunity. What I did notice for me, I thought, I have it in my notes here, is that I feel like he wants to tuck the ball first. He does his drop step. He looks, and if that first or second read is not there, he's ready to run. Which I guess is normal for a quarterback, right? I mean, I'm not a perfect scout.
Sure.
It just feels like he wants to run the ball more than he truly wants to throw the ball. But when he throws the ball, it's amazing.
Okay.
When he throws the ball, like you said, he is underrated, and I truly believe that. But I'm not discrediting that. I'm just giving you my quick thoughts from what I've been scouting for this morning, in our time here.
Yeah.
But that's not a full scouting report for me. Just a couple little notes and thought process as I have in it. But I do believe he probably will be it. If he's not a top 10 pick,
I don't see how he's not top 10 personally.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say, if he's not a top 10 pick, then is he going in the top? Is it top 4 like this? Top 5 in a draft still? I guess it depends on where he goes.
So much hypothetical. Right? I mean, we're 5 months away from finding out that answer. But I mean, I have scouted, 4 games of his, and I don't see a player that is hesitant to stick in the pocket personally. But I could be wrong. Obviously, I hear you with Alabama. You probably have to attack an Alabama defense a little bit
exactly.
differently.
It's a little bit differently.
But
yeah.
I can hear what you're coming at. But Trippy is up on the clock here. And let's see what Trippy does. I think there's a pretty obvious name. But let's see.
Gosh, my throat.
By the way, guys, if you are watching the video, we appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. We're on the road to 10K. We are less than 800 subscribers away from 10K. So consider subscribing if you like this sort of content. And do us a huge favor and smash that like button. With over 100 people watching, how many likes could we get if everyone right now went ahead and hit that like button? We appreciate y'all. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. You are awesome.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I think I paused the draft on accident. There we go. Trippy, go ahead and tell us in the sleeper chat who you are taking there.
Let's see where we go here.
So Adam Vinatieri off the board. Perfect pick here. All right, so as I suspected, I have, maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not, but I have said there are 2 elite wide receivers in this class. Everyone knows that Marvin Harrison Jr. is an elite wide receiver. I don't think people are giving Malik Nabers that same respect, and I think he deserves that same respect. I personally do believe Malik Nabers is an elite NFL wide receiver prospect. If Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't in this class, I have no doubts that people would be speaking the same way about Malik Nabers. Not as Marvin Harrison Jr., but as an elite prospect. Obviously, very different players. But I'm a huge fan of his game. He had the #1 PFF receiving grade this year, over 92 on PFF. That was #1. Versatile player, great ball skills, great yak threat. We've heard some comps to DJ Moore. You can definitely see DJ Moore. My favorite comp personally, it's a little bit of a throwback, so depending on when you got into football, you might have been able to watch this player or not, but that is Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne out of Indianapolis, as in Colts Hall of Famer. I see shades of his game from those players. I'm a huge fan of him. He and Jaden Daniels, it was like this perfect combination. They really, really helped each other out. And it was funny because, this time last year, a lot of the narrative, whether right, well, it was wrong. A lot of the narrative was Jaden Daniels couldn't support Kayshon Boutte. We're like, actually, no.
Kayshon booty.
Kayshon's just not actually that good. And both of those guys kind of shine this year. In my opinion, and I love Marvin Harrison, I think the Blitnikoff Award winner should be Malik Nabers based off what he's done this year. So let's see. You could have the Heisman and the Blitnikoff winner from the same college.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good year for LSU here in this off season, I guess you can say. But Malik Nabers. I said this multiple times. It's not that I don't believe Malik Nabers is an elite wide receiver. I think there is a gap in that, a big gap. I think he is a low-end tier wide receiver 1, where I think Marvin Harrison is a top 3, top 5 type of wide receiver, and that's nitpicking, right? Everything that you said, I completely agree with you. The route running, the ball skills, the versatility, everything that he brings to a team is definitely going to be amazing. So I like Malik Nabers here. Okay.
I mean, you said you think there's a big gap?
No,
I don't think there's a big gap. I mean, that's what you said. So I'm trying to
I guess understand. When I mean there's a big gap, like I'm saying there's a big gap if I'm looking at like my overall rankings. Like if I'm telling you that I can for sure put Marvin Harrison in my top 5 in like my top 25 dynasty rankings, I would say Malik Nabers will probably be in with confidence my top 10, right? And I think that is it's a minuscule big gap, if that makes any sense. Like if I tell you he's my number 3 and Malik Nabers is my number 7, it's a big gap in that sense, if that makes any.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
I guess.
From 3 to 7.
3 to 7. That doesn't seem like a big gap to me, but
I mean, is the wide receiver 3 and then the wide receiver 7 not a big gap when you think about like a trading aspect? That would be a big gap. That's what I'm trying to say.
You said overall just then, so I'm trying to follow. You said overall in your dynasty rankings.
I guess basically what I'm trying to say is if I have hypothetically Marvin Harris is my number 3 and Malik Neighbors as my number 7, that is a big gap in that sense.
You're saying in Dynasty rankings?
Yes,
And wide
Dynasty
receiver
rankings.
specifically rankings?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because you
In
said
Dynasty,
overall, so I'm trying to follow what you're saying.
That's what I meant. My overall Dynasty wide receiver rankings.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, what about Malik's game then do you believe is just not on par with Marvin's then, I guess?
It's not that I don't believe it's on par. I think he is not the polished wide receiver that Marvin Harrison is coming out of college.
Okay.
And once again, this is very nitpicky when you look at Marvin Harrison, who I already believe is going to come in and be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, compared to Malik Neighbors. And I said this last time, we're comparing Marvin Harrison's to the like of these Hall of Fame wide receivers.
Sure.
And we're comparing Malik Neighbors to someone like the likes of DJ Moore, who we love.
I actually compared him to Reggie Wayne, Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Okay, I would say DJ Moore, like Reggie Wayne. Yeah, maybe that's something that you see. I'm just saying, like, even in the comparison is a big gap as well, you know. So it's not saying that he can't be there and he can't surpass those comparisons. I just think that Marvin Harrison is the more complete overall, already polished. So your question, what does Malik Neighbors not do that Marvin Harrison does? I think I'm nitpicking. He doesn't create the separation of the way that Marvin Harrison does. He doesn't have late hands when he catches the ball. I'm saying very nitpicky things.
I think he has all that though. I mean, you don't see that?
Sure. I'm not saying I don't see that. I'm saying maybe he doesn't do it as good as him. Okay. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I love Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison. I don't want this to be a non-Malik Neighbors Marvin Harrison thing.
Sure.
I just
think people want to understand why you don't have them in the same tier. And so essentially you're just saying that Malik isn't the same level of talent. I'm trying to understand why, you know.
Yeah, sure. I just don't believe in the prospect that I've seen with Marvin Harrison that I've seen. I don't think he's the same.
Okay, fair enough.
And maybe I don't have that answer now. Maybe I need to go more digging to do the nitpicking since it's still early. But when I think of these guys back to back, they're my 1 and 2. Marvin Harrison is just in his own tier.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Neighbors has all the recipe to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And I think absolutely, I don't see a flaw in his game personally. That makes an elite wide receiver in my mind. But
yeah, I think what you just said there is like, he has the ability to be a top wide receiver, which I believe there as well. I already believe, and maybe I'm going too crazy, that Marvin Harrison is going to be a top wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think that is how people talk about Marvin Harrison with confidence. And like, I think
I have confidence he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
I'm not saying
it changes I don't know.
I'm not saying that you're not confident. I just think that the language about Malik Neighbors, like, hey, Malik is going to be good. We love Malik no matter where he goes.
He's elite. I've said elite. I mean, I think Malik Neighbors is an elite wide receiver prospect. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is an elite wide receiver prospect. I cannot tell you something that Malik does not do well.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess that's just part of the conversations early on. But we'll see. I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but I think people just want to understand. They just want to understand why. Why isn't he?
And maybe I don't have that answer right now because I'm with you. Like I have him as my elite ranking prospect. They're just in different tiers. Sure. That's all I've said.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay, fair enough. At the 106, K Legacy goes with Rome Odunze. Y'all know we love us some Rome Odunze. I mean, you know,
we loved him last year.
Speaking of Malik Neighbors trying to find a flaw in his game, I don't see a flaw in Rome Odunze's game either. Now he's a little bit of, people are gonna knock him maybe because he's coming out a little bit later or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I don't really see a knock on his game. Now he is not the same player as a Malik Neighbors. You know, they have different play styles, but yeah, Rome is a fantastic player. He's going to be a top 12 to 15 wide receiver in Dynasty rankings the day he's drafted. You know, when we talk about pro comps, we have kind of come to this conclusion collectively, I think, you and I, that if you combine Cortland Sutton's, in his prime, his contested catch ability with Chris Olave's route running and T. Higgins' hands, you get a guy like Rome Odunze. And that is all the recipe, all the ingredients, if you will, to become one of the best wide receivers in the NFL from day dot. So he goes off the board there. We do love us some Rome Odunze. And now Hank is on the clock. So let's see. Oh, he can actually go ahead and make a pick whenever he's ready. But Hank is on the clock. Anything you want to say about Odunze before we get this next pick in?
6'3", 215, runs very smooth. I think he is a more versatile, more twitchy, more a quicker T. Higgins. If you look at T. Higgins, think of somebody that's faster, quicker, twitchier, better speed, all that. I would say also better route runner than T. Higgins, in my opinion. That's all I would say.
I would agree there too. So the pick has been made, and it is a wide receiver that you and I really, really love. Let me try and find his name here as I'm pulling the Photoshops up. Here he is. Emeka Egbuka went at the 109 in the last draft, but now we've got him here at the 107. We both are big fans of Emeka Egbuka. You know, I don't think he gets the respect that he's really due, and that's because he's playing alongside Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I would agree now at this point that there's 100% a different tier in the talent between an Emeka and a Marvin Harrison Jr., but I still think Emeka can be one of the premier slot, versatile, outside type of wide receivers at the next level. He is an incredible route runner, big fan of his game. You know, unfortunately, he hasn't been healthy, and that's potentially dropped his stock. But this is a great player. Super versatile, functional speed, great route runner. And, you know, we talked about this a lot. There's no surprise to me that Kyle McCord is transferring out of Ohio State, because watching Emeka Egbuka's film, it's like the amount of times this guy would be wide, butt-ass naked open, and Kyle's not even looking his way. It's like Kyle has no ability to sense where Emeka is on the field. The guy is wide freaking open. He does all this work and never gets the ball. I mean, that I don't know how Emeka held it together. I would have been so frustrated. But, I mean, he consistently gets open for his quarterback. When he finds a competent quarterback at the next level, he could become that quarterback's best friend. So, I'm a big fan of Emeka there.
Completely agree.
What was your comp for him, by the way?
I had him on Ross St. Brown as my comp. I think he, one of the best route runners outside of Marvin Harrison in this draft class here. One of the things I would say right before you do go, I've been thinking about this because I've kind of been flip-flopping between Rome and Emeka. And, like, if Rome goes in the top 10, it's hard not to take him over Emeka Egbuka when I think of him in my rankings, because I do have Emeka over Rome. So if you guys know, my wide receiver 3 is Emeka Egbuka, and Rome is my 4. But, you know, as we continue to move on, it's hard to envision me not taking Rome Odunze, who is projected to go in the top 10, top 12, and Emeka going in the second half of the draft. So just a little note out there. I might be flip-flopping those two guys here once our rookie rankings officially released, where we're trying to do by Christmas here.
I mean, look,
so keep that in mind.
It's a very good class. You can make a case for, you know, I think after the first 2 names, you can make a case for flipping around some of these names. I actually have already made that swap. I don't know if you saw. I'm releasing my top 10, like my individual video on Monday for you guys, and you made the graphics for that. So I actually did already make that swap.
I didn't even realize.
I already made that swap. I put Rome at 3, and it's not by much. It's just, I think Rome has that like alpha number 1 opportunity on a team, you know, and I think Emeka can be the number 1 as well. But it's just very close. It's like nitpicky. There's just nothing that Rome can't do at the next level. But these are 2 very good wide receivers. I think it matters more about where they're tiered rather than they're ranked, because if you're going to cluster them in tiers and say, these guys are both maybe as valuable as each other. What's your flavor of tea here? You know, and draft capital will matter. And for these guys, when it's so close, yeah, who's their quarterback? That actually might matter for me. You know, if Emeka Egbuka ends up in Kansas City, for me as a Kansas City fan, that's the kind of guy I want on our team in this draft. I know people keep putting Xavier Worthy and Xavier Legette and Adonai Mitchell to us in mock drafts.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman I saw the other day. Like, no disrespect to those names, but I want someone who is just a incredible separator at the next level, and that's Emeka. So, like, yeah, this could be a scenario where, hey, landing spot might actually matter for these guys. Who's on contract for the next year? You know, will there be changes soon? Is there a foundational quarterback there that we can build around together? So, love Emeka. You said Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like that comp. I actually think he's faster than Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he'll test a little bit faster than him, which that could be scary. Could you imagine Amon-Ra just like had that extra step? That could be scary.
It could be scary. It's going to take it to the next level for Emeka Egbuka. You're on the clock here. What are you thinking?
I am on the clock here, and, you know, a little surprised, I'll be honest. I guess it's hard. It's hard in a non-tight end premium to really know exactly where to take this player. I'm a little surprised.
I'm not necessarily sure if he goes before these guys.
You don't think
personally? I don't. I think if I don't know. I really don't know. I think there is a case, but he has to go to the perfect spot. Okay. If he doesn't go to the perfect spot and these other guys just go to a mid-tier location, I think he can. I think all these guys will go ahead of him.
See, I disagree. I can't personally think of a spot he goes in the top 15 because I don't think he goes outside the top 15. I personally can't think of a spot where he isn't automatically 1A, 1B with whoever's there within that offense. I mean, I don't think it's an over exaggeration to say this is maybe the best collegiate tight end of all time. And it's early in the process. We'll see what the NFL thinks about him, but I think they're going to fall in love with him, especially with how tight ends were so successful this year. You think people don't want their Sam Laporta? They don't want their Travis Kelce, Dalton Kincaid? I think he instantly becomes the 1A to the 1B. You know, like, name a team in the chat, guys, and we'll talk about it if it would change my opinion. Go ahead and name some teams. But here is where I would take Brock Bowers, I'm not saying that Rome or Mika or anyone isn't worthy of going ahead of him. I'm just saying hey, this is tough. There's so much talent. Inevitably, someone is going to fall down the board. And even if you're all the way at the 108, you made the playoffs, you're going to get an incredible talent in this class. I'm taking Brock Bowers off the board here. Like, I cannot think of a team where he is not automatically 1A, 1B. So, Brandon put the Jets. Keep naming teams, guys. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
I mean,
I think he's instantly 1A, 1B alongside of Garrett Wilson.
Elijah Moore, great wide receiver, by the way.
Name another team for me off the top of your head.
Is it top 10? Because I have the list in front.
Titans, he would be the number one on the Titans instantly over DeAndre Hopkins. The Dodgers, he would be Ohtani, right? He would pitch and he would hit. I can't think of a team in the top 15. Name some for me.
Saints, Saints. Obviously, I think the best landing spot is the Chargers.
So
Denver,
the Falcons is worst case scenario for anyone. Let's just be straight up about that. The Falcons the worst case scenario for anyone. But if he went to the Falcons, it would be 1A, 1B, 1C between those three guys. It would be awful. Dolphins, he's not going to get picked that late. But yeah, I'll give you Tyreek Hill. Cincinnati, I truly, honestly think he's 1A, 1B in Cincinnati. I genuinely believe that. So yeah, I mean, look, I don't see a scenario in which he's not 1A, 1B at the next level. So I'll take him here. Not only is he an incredible receiver, an incredible yak tight end, he's also a very good blocker. This is a guy from day one that's on the field 80%, 90% of the snaps. So I'll take him here at the 108. And now Sam is on the clock here.
See what he does here. Yeah. Brock in the top 10, top 12. I guess I need to understand the defensive class a little bit more because I wonder if teams are going to be prioritizing those spots over
It's not there's no Sauce Gardner at the cornerback position in this draft. There's no Myles Garrett defensive end prospect in this draft. It's a very offensive top heavy in that first top 15 round.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of good tackles. Olafonu is a big one. Joe Alt is a big one. I've heard. There's a lot of good tackles there, and a lot of these top teams need tackles. But we're waiting to see what that looks like when draft day comes. Sam made his pick.
So he goes, wow.
Natty winner. The Natty.
All right, so, man, this is a very interesting name to go this early. But Michael Penix Jr. goes off the board at the 109. Am I a hater, or is this too early? I mean, it's too early for me. I don't think I'm drafting him in the first round personally. Now, look, if Michael Penix ends up being a top 15 pick and lands in a very favorable spot, people will start to make a case for it. I don't know personally that he ends up in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, I'm not sure he does. If he does, it's late. But I don't want to ding him because of his age, but we are talking about a player that has played college football for 6 years. You're not mishearing that. He's played college football for 6 years, and he's also torn both of his ACLs. He's not exactly a very mobile guy, so he's going to have to translate as a passer in the next level. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think he is a good passer, but with how much exciting talent there is in this class, I think it's too early for me personally.
Yeah, I think it is too early as well. I guess I want to play devil's advocate in if he does go in the first round. If he goes to the first round to the Vikings, Kirk Cousins is not ready. Are you hypothetically, and Josh Dobbs is no longer there? Is Michael Penix versus first round? Because we know Kirk Cousins is not going to be there for the first 6 to 7, maybe 8 games of the season. Saying I have a starting quarterback here. Do you take him? Do you not take him? I think there's going to be a lot of conversations in some locations where people are going to like Michael Penix. Would I take him here in the first round? Probably not. But I agree. Those two ACLs. I know he also had like a shoulder injury that's also making him in question for a couple of times. Very injury prone type of quarterback, unfortunately. And that is going to be one of the biggest. If he was 20, 24, 25, didn't have any of those injuries, I think he'll be a first round pick. But those injuries really sets him back significantly.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, it's look, this is a tough prospect to really gauge. I mean, I think I don't want to discredit him because of his age, but it's different when you have like a shopping list of injury history. So yeah, let's see what the NFL thinks about him. I'm concerned about his knees holding up in the NFL. You only got so much cartilage, you only got so much.
I mean, Tajay Spears out here playing with no ACL, saying, you know what, I'm just gonna do it for my whole NFL career.
That's true.
I doubt Michael Penix needs to cut or anything, and he's not using his ACL like Tajay Spears is.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess
in your hypothetical,
really
you're saying Kirk Cousins doesn't return to the Vikings and Michael Penix is there battling with Dobbs or something, right? I mean, that could be interesting. Yeah. But you and I have talked about how I personally believe that Kirk Cousins is going to be the quarterback of this team next year. The dude was playing at MVP level, but that's a hypothetical. Who knows? I'm just not obsessed with this prospect. That's just what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I'm also an idiot, and we're all learning as we go. But shout out to the 154 people watching the stream.
Love.
Really appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you can do us a huge favor and go ahead and smash that like button. We're currently, quick maths, about 36 likes away from 100. So if you can do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. We are currently just under 800 subscribers away from 10K, from 10,000 subscribers, which is awesome. But Mev is on the clock here. Let's see what Mev is going to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and see. So my RB1
Jake
in the
Moody,
class
Moody.
goes off the board. I would not have taken him yet, personally, but this is my RB1 in the class. At the moment, Badaki, with how stacked quarterbacks, wide receivers, with Brock Bowers being in there, I'm not sure I'm taking a running back in the first round. Depends. Like, you can make a case for it.
Lazy.
But this is not a very strong running back class. But my RB1 goes off the board here. That is Trey Benson. Last time out, he went at the 2... What is that? The 2-4?
I think the 204, something like that. Yeah.
So
I
Trey
think
Benson.
There's another running back went in the first.
Right, yeah. Trey Benson comes off the board. Really love his game. I think he's got a great combo of size, speed, athleticism. I think he's got great vision. Reminds me a little bit of when I was scouting Breece Hall from a vision perspective. Reminds me a lot of Javonte Williams, man. I see a lot of Javonte Williams in his film out of when he was coming out of North Carolina. Big fan of his game. But of course, as we know, draft capital is really going to determine where these running backs go, unless you really just don't like a prospect.
Yeah, and good draft capital this year for a running back is most likely going to be, mid to late second round. I'm not
think one goes in the
necessarily
first.
sure. I don't think one goes in the first. Maybe if one goes in this early second, that's, I guess, top 45. That's an okay type of draft capital, or not 45. I guess 45 will be top.
Yeah, top 40, top 50 is probably
Yeah.
where they're gonna start to come off the board. But
So it's not bad.
I don't see there's not a Bijan or a Jameer level prospect in this class.
I would say this, depending on where these other wide receivers that we love goes, I could see running backs going in the first round of a rookie draft. That's what I would say. Because if these guys that we love, that is our wide receivers 6, 7, 8, don't get the draft capital or land to a team that we like, and Trey does, 100%, I can see him going in the end of the first.
Okay.
That's a big hypothetical, of course.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how many of these quarterbacks declare, because there's still a quarterback I'd take over him, a couple wide receivers at this point. But let's see what Mantra is doing here with the 111. Let's see who comes off the board here. A couple names I have in my head, but all right. So yes, all right. So here comes Keon Coleman. Funnily, I was looking through the comments this morning, Badaki, and someone basically commented and said, "I'm gonna unsubscribe to your page because you guys clearly hate Florida State." And I thought it was funny because my RB1 in the class was Trey Benson, but because we are not huge fans of Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson's game, we apparently don't like Florida State. So Florida State fans are unsubscribing from the channel. It's a travesty.
I used to live in Florida.
Yeah. Look, Keon Coleman, he is very clearly an incredible ball winner, a great contested catcher. He has extremely reliable hands. I think if he is successful in the NFL, I think it will probably be the way Kenny Golladay was, attached to a really good quarterback, someone who can place the ball perfectly, because at the moment, and that could change, right? These are prospects. These are kids. These are guys who are 19 to 22 years old. They can improve their game. That is completely possible. But at the moment, he's not a very good route runner. I don't even think he's a top 10 route runner in this class alone. But super athletic guy, great size, great speed. But yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful. You and I just aren't a fan of this kind of prospect. It's not, we don't seek out the ball winners without that separation.
I just think that the NFL has changed. If you're telling me all you need to do is run a straight line and go up and get the ball because your quarterback's going to throw it down the field, sure. But I think a lot of traits that the NFL looks for is a separation per route run. What is that looking like for you? Because once you have that separation, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 yard separation, that leads into yards after the catch. That leads into so much more for your team. And Keon Coleman has the trait of being the big body wide receiver but he's, in my opinion, which I've said this before, like that's the only trait I feel like he really possesses, which is not the way the NFL is. Everyone that we've drafted so far, they are great route runners, and they have more than 4 to 5 traits that they produce or they bring to an NFL team. Keon Coleman, in my opinion, really only brings his big body ability and his good hands.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't see what he can do, right? See, and maybe I'm being harsh.
You're way harsher than me. You're way harsher than me. I do think he could be a good NFL wide receiver, but again, he's going to be someone that is very dependent on quarterback play, in my opinion. You know, we saw a mock draft yesterday, Badaki, where Keon went to the Panthers at the beginning of the second round. He was a 33rd overall pick. He went to the Panthers. Now, Bryce has good ball placement, but the struggle there is no one on his team can already get any separation. So, you know, it's really going to depend on where he goes. I mean, does he end up with a team that has questionable quarterback play, a guy who can't place the ball perfectly? He might be limited as in his production. So we'll see what happens with him there.
And it's nothing on like you taking Keon Coleman, by the way. Mantra, I'm assuming you're Jared L. I'm saying Keon's consistent. Like, there's nothing on you. We're just giving everyone else our opinion and what we would do here. We could be completely wrong as the off season gets closer and the NFL draft gets closer, and we would say, holy shit, we're wrong about him. He's a top 15 pick. He's probably better than all these people. Or if he does get the draft capital, we need to readjust and saying, okay, you know, where does that go? If he gets top 10 draft capital, I mean, surely we're not seeing something they're seeing. You know, like, that has to be a conversation. But anyways,
well, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but Quentin Johnson was a first round pick. I don't think he would have ended up like if we redid that draft. That's what I'm saying, like, I'm not sure he goes in the top 4 rounds. I'm
just saying, like, if he goes in the top 10, top 15, where everyone is mocking him, because Quentin wasn't getting mocked in the top 10 or 15. None of those wide receivers were. I think only just one, probably just JSN.
I remember them vividly being mocked there.
Yeah. You know, maybe we readjust.
Yeah. Look, I mean, we obviously we're not going to be ignorant and sit here and say that we know more than NFL scouts. Okay, that's just stupid. But we can also recognize that NFL scouts miss pretty often. You know, pretty often they don't make the right decision. That's why you see all these teams who are kind of in purgatory. So it's, you know, Xavier Worthy goes off the board here. We'll talk about him in a second, but it's one of those names where if he does get the draft capital, right? If an NFL team does commit to him with a first round selection, then that's where your conviction's really going to come out. Is it like, okay, I'm going to trust this NFL team, I'm going to trust this situation, or I'm going to trust my evaluation of the player? That's going to be an interesting one. But Xavier Worthy goes off the board at the 112. We do like us some Xavier Worthy. I'm not so sure that he can be the number one feature on an NFL team. I think he can be like a really, really special complimentary number 2, you know, and that's become a very valuable thing in the NFL. But good route runner, you know, super twitchy, great yak threat. We're big fans of Xavier's game. Just needs to fix those damn hands, man. Catch the ball. Catch the easy ball. Okay? Catch
the easy ball. But yeah, love Xavier Worthy. I think I said this multiple times, I think he is somebody that is being utilized in the wrong way. In my opinion, I think he can be an elite slot wide receiver. And I think that's exactly what team should be drafting him as. You know, we've seen so many mocks of him going to the Chiefs because he stretches the field. Do you want another McCole Harmon? Do you want another MVS? I think that's what happens if he goes there. I could be wrong. I hope he doesn't become that if he goes there, because I would say he's a better route runner than the MVSs and the McCole Harmons coming out. But I just don't want him to be put in that box where he's a field stretcher for any team. And genuinely, you can't guarantee me that on any team, unfortunately. We just have to wait until he is going to be utilized and what that looks like. But I love Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his game. You know, someone asked the question in the chat, any chance AD Mitchell gets drafted over him? And I think that there's absolutely a chance that happens.
I think I think because of his size specifically, in my
Mhm.
opinion. What is he? 6'4",
I
190
believe
something
6'4",
pounds.
196. So
Yeah,
totally. I mean, those guys could be
yeah,
drafted very,
100%.
very close. All right, some names that I'm kind of surprised didn't end up in the first round, but we keep saying this. It's such a deep class. You're going to get first round values in the second round. My overall, but Badaki, I'm going to say this. My overall number 9, number 10, number 11 are all still available, are all still not selected in my
Hmm.
rankings. But here at the 2-1, I'm going to say it's a rather peculiar pick. And, we talked earlier about some people they really don't like certain prospects. We're getting a feel. Blake Corum seems to have this aura around him where people really, really do not like this player. Now, I will say that this is a little too high for my liking. In fact, let's count.
Let's count.
There are 14 players still available that I would have selected personally. I don't dislike Blake Corum, but I mean, you can already see in the chat, some people this is a player you're either like, yeah, he's a dog, or you're like, no, he's trash. He's trash.
Yeah, he's
He's
trash,
toast. But Blake goes, I'm not sure where he gets drafted. Certainly not day 1. He's probably day 2, round 3 is what I'm kind of feeling. Maybe round 4. But yeah, I wouldn't have taken him this high. There's only 2 running backs I really, really love. And Blake is not one of those names. But he does come off the board. Anything you want to say about him there?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. I think for a lot of these running backs, like any other, prospect coming in, landing spot is going to be massive. And when you think of this class and or we think of last year's class where we're saying, well, all these teams are going to need this running back and that running back, all these guys are going to be amazing. I think it gets even worse coming into this class, because I would say this class is nowhere near as strong as last year's class. And we saw all those running backs full, and I think that can happen in the same way coming into this class. But look, I would still take another running back over him. I think it's way too early. I think you named however many people that can go over Blake Corum here.
Look, just at the moment, there's about 14 players I'd take over him still available. That doesn't mean I dislike Blake Corum. It just means I don't think that he's worth the 201 with a super stacked class. That's, the 201 is kind of worth a mid-first last year. That's how good the 201 is right now. But I do like Blake. Little too early. Dak, do not say sorry, dude. It's totally okay. I mean, the whole point of these streams is like, let's all have conversations. You just created a great conversation. Look at the amount of people saying that they hate Blake Corum or they think he's a dog. So there's no reason to say sorry. But Brandon is on the clock here. So let's see what Brando does at the 2-2. Still some very, very exciting names available. But by the way, we keep seeing people talk about Jonathan Brooks. Guys, we love Jonathan Brooks. We were obsessed with Jonathan Brooks. He would have been my RB1, Badaki's RB1 before that ACL tear. We don't think he's going to declare. I mean, I would be surprised if he declares tearing his ACL end of November area. Going into the NFL draft, we'll have no opportunity to work out for a team. We'll have no opportunity to test or do a combine. I would be shocked if he declares. We do love Jonathan Brooks, though.
I was thinking, people love Jameson Williams, but he already kind of established himself as a top wide receiver.
Yeah.
Before he tore his ACL, and we knew he was going to be a first round pick.
He had the spotlight of the playoffs,
the playoffs, and exactly, where you don't see that with Jonathan Brooks, unfortunately. But I don't think that hinders him. I still can think he'd be the third running back off the board potentially.
I think so too. Wrong. If he declares, he will be in that top tier for me, undoubtedly, with those other two names. But
if he falls, he's just going to be a value for somebody as well.
For sure, 100%. Tough player to gauge. All right, at the 202, Brandon goes with Troy Franklin. This is another one of those names where there is a lot of mixed opinions on a guy like Troy Franklin. You and I, we really like Troy. We really like Troy. I think he really fits the modern day game. Now, if you put Troy back in let's say 2001, you put Troy into the NFL, it might not suit his game as much as today's game. I think he's really set up for success when you put these explosive athletes in space. You know, it's a peculiar size at 6'3", 180. He's probably playing at 175, but he broke out at a young age. I think he's a very good route runner, incredible after the catch. I'm a big fan of his game. Compared him a little bit to, there's not a great comparison out there, honestly, but he is a little Devonta Smithy with his lanky size. You see a little Robbie Anderson with the actual size comp, but I don't think Jameson Williams, the more I think about it, is that bad of a comp. I think Jameson personally is a better prospect overall coming out pre-injury, but I don't think that's a terrible comp either.
Not bad. Not bad comp.
It's a tough player to comp, but super explosive.
Yeah, super explosive. Another guy very similar to Xavier Worthy, that I do believe would utilize in the wrong way. And yes, he is a field stretcher. He does have that explosive speed, and the release package is amazing. And I think that's where, once again, being utilized in the wrong way, put him out in the slot there, get him the yards after the catch, where he can definitely explode in the middle of the field and be an elite route runner. He doesn't have the lanky body. He does have the lanky body as a Devonta Smith.
He definitely has the lanky body.
He just doesn't have that crazy separation to do what Devonta Smith does on the outside, in my opinion.
I think you and I disagree there, though, because I think they used him perfectly, and I don't see why he couldn't play outside at the next level. I'm not saying
I don't think he can. I just think his game will go to the next level. Like when we saw Devonta Smith, we knew how good he was as a route runner and what he did outside, coming from college. He also played the inside, and that's why we were okay with Devonta Smith playing on the outside.
Sure.
I just like what Troy can do in the slot.
I like
he also has great, reliable hands.
I think I was really happy that they used him in those different ways. I think that's how he could be used in the NFL, but it might just be a different vision we have for the player. But, Daniel mentioned that Franklin's 6'3", 187, Smith is 1'6". He's not 160. Devonta Smith is not 160, I don't think. But we mentioned this already. Guys, if you want to try and find a size comp, our comparisons are based off of gameplay. If you want to find a size comp, be our guests. Truly, let us know, because there is not a good size comp out there. The only name that comes to mind is Robbie Anderson, and no one's going to be excited about that name. He's a better player than Robbie Anderson.
It's actually Chosen. It's Chosen.
Chosen Anderson. So, just saying. I would genuinely challenge people. You don't think I want a better size comp than Robbie Anderson? No one's excited about Robbie Anderson, but
yeah,
there really isn't a good size comparison for this player, so keep that in mind. What's up, Preston? Welcome in. You're on the clock here, Badaki.
I think we know where this is going to go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not waste any more time here. Bring over Brian Thompson.
Oh, God.
Brian Thomas here. I'll take him out of LSU. 6'4", 205 pounds. I think one of the most underrated wide receivers in this class. Somebody I believe is going to be a first-round pick. I will not be surprised if he is top 15, top 20 wide receiver going into this class. Great hands, great yards after the catch ability as well, and decent. Just a very underrated wide receiver that I think if you haven't watched him, if you haven't watched Brian Thomas, please go watch his film, because what he brings to a team, the versatility, the ball skills, the yards after the catch, the speed, for somebody that is 6'4", 205 pounds, he can be a threat to someone, threat to someone for their team. So I'm excited about him.
You mentioned it, but I will go ahead and back it. I don't see a scenario in which he is not a first-round pick. When NFL scouts, and I'm sure they're already doing so, when they get a hold of that All-22, this guy is not falling out of the first round.
I think that there is conversations for him to go ahead of it, like the likes of Troy, of course, the Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, and Emeka Mbuka. I
Same.
think
I
we're
think
going
that's
to see
possible.
I think we're going to see Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze off the board, and then you'll be like, "Holy shit, it's Brian Thomas going off the board next," and we're still looking at
Yeah.
Emeka Mbuka on the board. That is the type of surprise that, like, when Jahan Dotson went earlier,
Sure.
right? And it was like, whoa, Jahan Dotson, are you sure you want to take Jahan? Because so many other wide receivers on the board. Not saying Jahan Dotson is bad,
Yeah.
or not living up to standards, because he's been in QB purgatory. Shout out
Yeah.
to Curtis Samuel, the cock block. But
Yeah. Curtis Samuel, aka the biggest cock block in fantasy football.
but yeah, I love Brian. Love Brian.
I'm a huge fan of his game. I absolutely love this pick. You know what what always stands out to me every time I watch this guy play is it's genuinely, in the best way possible, so unnatural for a guy at his size to move the way that he does. The fluidity is just, it's genuinely ridiculous for a player with his size. And you know, we've talked about this, but I will still stand by the fact that Brian Thomas, his potential, his ceiling is so high, he could end up being the second best wide receiver in this class. That is how high his ceiling truly is. It's not the most likely outcome, but again, that's how high of a ceiling there is for a player like this. So yeah, I absolutely love the pick. You know, you think about players with similar bodies. AJ Brown's a little bit bigger, but you see the athleticism, a little Anquan Bolden to his game. I'm a big fan of Brian Thomas. I like that pick. And here comes what a lot of people are calling Vanilla Vic, by the way.
Vanilla Vic.
I'm seeing some people compare him to the likes of Lamar Jackson. Now, this is one of those quarterbacks I have not completed my scouting on yet. And I might wait until the college football playoffs to really put my opinions in on this player. JJ McCarthy comes off the board. Here's what I'll say about JJ. If you were to build up a quarterback in the lab, he's got everything. He's got the arm. He's a very good athlete.
Yep.
He, you know, has the body, has the size. There are some inconsistencies, and he's not being asked to really take over a game yet. So it's really hard to get your finger on what exactly JJ is. If he goes to the right system, I don't have any doubts that he could be coached up and be a very good NFL quarterback. But I mean, if JJ ended up, I'm just thinking like when Dan Snyder was owning the Washington football team, if he ended up in Washington, like there's just no way he would have been a successful quarterback, right? So
Right.
I think he's got all the traits, all the things that you cannot teach, the intangibles. He's got it. It's just trying to kind of fit him into, you know, this coaching, bringing him up, growth phase. Hard guy to really put your finger on, but yeah, I could definitely see JJ McCarthy end up being a top 8 pick in Superflex drafts. I could genuinely see that happening.
I think there's going to be a quarterback that we're not expecting to go earlier than expected. JJ could be one of them. JJ could be one of those guys, and him and somebody else that we still hasn't gone off the board here could go out. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a top like 25, top 25 pick, in my opinion. It's gonna be surprising to us, and we're gonna be like, oh, well, this is gonna mean something. But yeah, I haven't done my evaluation on him. 6'3", 205 pounds or 202 pounds there, and yeah, he plays in the bowl game or the playoffs here next week.
Yeah,
This weekend or next
Who does
weekend.
he play? I'm trying to remember. It's not soon. That's at the end of.
He plays.
I want him to play Washington because I think you know what, he plays Bama. I remember this. He plays Bama. So, I mean, if he balls out versus Bama, and you've given that coaching staff, you know, multiple weeks to prepare for you, and you ball out, that might be enough for me. But I mean, he could play his way into the top 10 in the college football playoffs. He absolutely could. Man, it's such a good class. So much exciting players to talk about. Trippy is on the clock. Let's see what he goes with here. But I would love to see JJ play Washington. And I just want to see a shootout where JJ's the reason they win a game. He's not losing them games, but it's just a game management mode right now in Michigan. It's not his fault, but so many untapped traits. Hard guy to really get your finger on there. Yeah. All right, so your RB1 comes off the board here. I'd say my RB1A, 1B in Travion Henderson. We both are big fans of his game. You know, you think about in PPR formats, a guy that can do it on the ground and through the air. Travion's going to give that to you for sure. So he comes off the board here at the 2-5. I think he tests well. I think he ends up in the second round. And between him and Trey, it'll be interesting to see who's the first running back off the board. But I think purely based off of like name recognition and what he did as, you know, his status at a high school as a 5-star recruit, I think Travion probably gets the nod there, but it'll be very close between those two names.
Completely agree. While RB1, I kind of comped into Austin Eckler type of player, which is probably the worst comp as of right now. How big of Austin Eckler has fell off. When I think of size and body, the way he can be utilized, I think of where Austin Eckler was at his peak, in my opinion. But yeah, I love Travion Henderson. I think he will. It's flip-flop. Anything can happen. Wherever he goes, he should be a workhorse in the NFL and be a PPR threat.
Yeah, big fan of his game. So he goes off the board there. K Legacy is on the clock. And let me just say before we see this next pick that there are still some very talented players available. Man, that second round is going to be so damn good this year.
It is.
But off the board, okay, a little bit of a surprise. Not saying it's the wrong pick. You and I really like this guy. I'm not going to say we love him, but we like him. You know, we mentioned there are 2 running backs we love in this class. Trey Benson, Travion Henderson. There's a couple names that we like. Blake Corum was one of them. We like Blake Corum. Another name that we like is Marshawn Lloyd, and he comes off the board here at the 206. Marshawn Lloyd is, you know, it's a copycat league. I'm not comparing him as a player to Devon Achane, but I think you think about these players who can give you 8 to 15 touches a game and just really change the game, really valuable touches. You know, lightning in a bottle type of running back. I think Marshawn Lloyd is going to give that to an NFL team. He was easily the best player on USC outside of Caleb Williams this year. He performed well. Now, it was against the Pac-12. I'm not being a hater, but not exactly the best defense being played in the Pac-12. So that is something I do keep in mind. But we do like Marshawn Lloyd. In PPR formats, I mean, he could be a very exciting player.
Yeah, 100%. The burst, you know, how quick he is, the twitchiness, and I think that's what's exciting. Like Zach said, the PPR upside here is going to be phenomenal. Get him in space, it's over. And that's exactly what you want to see for someone like a Marshawn Lloyd. I think he's very underrated. I think we're going to see him rise a lot in rankings here.
Yeah.
He is somebody that's going to be of value for you in the second round if you are in need of a running back, if he does fall in that landing spot. So, yeah, Marshawn Lloyd, I like him as well.
All right, so Marshawn Lloyd is off the board, and Hanky YT is on the clock. And while he's making his pick, we did just get a super chat from Matt. Thank you for the donation, my man. Matt says, 1 quarterback, PPR. I trade top 2 pick in 2025 for the 102 in 2024. I also have the 103. So 100,000,000% yes. If you can get the 102 in 2024 and you're sending away a top 2 pick in 2025, I would do that without hesitation.
Yeah,
you're telling me at worst I'm getting Malik Neighbors?
Yeah.
I would not overthink it. I would absolutely do that.
Yeah,
he says I also have
agree.
the 103. I'd get the 102 and 103 this year. Yeah. 100%. No doubt in my mind I would do that deal.
Yeah. Especially with this talent, this class here, and you think of this class, and when we're talking about them, we're hyping them up here, and we don't really know about the 25. At least I don't know about the 25 class. I know Zach is a little bit more deep into Devi there. But I mean, this is an elite wide receiver class that is deep, and if you can get one of these top 3, top 4 guys, that's exactly what you would want to do.
Yeah, you might have the 105 might be as valuable this year as the 102 next year. That's how good this class is. But it's very early, of course. I mean, so many names can emerge from nowhere. But I really, really like that deal for you. 25 is not going to be as stacked at wide receiver. Keep that in mind. But all right, so Bo Nix goes off the board here at the 207. Bo Nix,
bro.
It's funny because everything I just said about JJ McCarthy, it's almost the opposite of Bo Nix. Not to say that he doesn't have the intangibles, but like you have seen him play a lot of football, and the game has been in his hands, and they have won games because of him, pretty much every week in out. Right? I mean, it's like Bo Nix is the reason you're winning games. Now, my concern about Bo Nix is just simply that I don't think what he did in college is going to be replicated in the NFL. He has great analytics, incredible accuracy this year, but you put on his film and 9 out of 10 throws are at the line of scrimmage. He has a good deep ball, but I think that deep ball is kind of aided by the fact that the defense is consistently thinking about stopping you at the line of scrimmage. You're kind of emulating the run game through these short little passes, which sets up the deep ball. I just don't think at the NFL, where you have those kind of minds, those kind of athletes, that's going to be able to translate. Now, the right coaching staff, the right scheme, I think he could be a great player in the NFL. What I will give him credit for is his IQ. Super, super smart player. I mean, he's got NFL level brains for sure. 100%. That's not a problem. I don't think he has the strongest arm, and I'm a little bit concerned about how he'll fit the ball into tight windows at the next level. That's slightly concerning for me. The velocity kind of, in my opinion, falls off at times, a little bit inconsistent with that. And we have to keep in mind that these kind of offenses, it is fair to wonder how it will translate, because you got completely different hash marks at the next level. The hash marks at college, they are set up for everyone to really dominate in space. Those hashes are just different. Playing the quarterback position is different when everything's brought in a little bit. It's a tighter game on both sides of the ball, both sides of the field. So another quarterback, really, really tough to put your finger on. But I definitely like Bo Nix. I'm not sure if he goes in the first round. Another one of those names like Bo and Michael Penix. Do they end up in the first round? I'm not 100% sure, but we know quarterbacks are the most difficult position to scout anyway. So you kind of have to trust an organization over your own opinion, depending on draft capital.
Yeah, exactly. It's all, and I said this in our, I think last week, or not last week, in one of our videos, or yesterday in our or the 2 days ago in our live stream. Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy, if I think their pathway is to go to a team where they're going to compete, where they're going to go to a Baker Mayfield type of situation, that their quarterback's in question. They go to somewhere like the Vikings, where their quarterback's in question, the Atlanta Falcons. The list can go on to wherever you want to go, even the Giants, right? Like that is going to be their pathway. And I don't see these guys immediately being a number one quarterback. They have to win out the job and show us what they can be when it comes down to in their draft capital here. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with these guys. But yeah, they're going straight into competition as they go into the NFL.
Someone just commented saying that Travion Henderson is staying. If that is the case, this class at running back just got way, way weaker. I wonder where that report is from.
Let's see if I can find it.
If you could tell us where that report is from. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that report. Maybe we'll wait and see if people comment and give us the source there. Matt did just donate again, by the way. Matt, thank you for your donation, my man. He says, final question. I'm an Ohio State alum. And what Marvin Harrison Jr. bad? If I do that trade, I'd have 102 and 103, Dell, Rice, and Downs. What's the most you'd give up for the 101? Now, I don't know if you were with us, Matt, when we were talking about Malik Neighbors earlier. I think Malik Neighbors is an elite prospect. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is an elite prospect. So I would be fine personally to stay at the 102 and draft Malik Neighbors. I think you're getting a very, very good wide receiver there. What's the most I'd give up if you're saying I have to package those two names? I definitely wouldn't include Dell. I personally wouldn't be willing to include Rice because, again, I think I'm still getting an elite wide receiver at the 102. I would be willing to add Downs, and it's not because I don't like Downs. It's because I just don't know exactly what his production looks like with his true quarterback, right? And his true quarterback is Anthony Richardson. It's not going to be Gardner Minshew. So that's the most I'd pay is Josh Downs and one of those picks. But even then, I kind of feel like I'm not getting the most value out of my picks because of how highly I view Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I would say this, I did that once, ruined my team because I'm a big Giants fan. Love Saquon Barkley. Didn't have Saquon. This is more redraft, not dynasty, right? So traded for Saquon, sent the house for Saquon, and this wasn't the right move. Just I don't think you should do that in a dynasty too. If you believe in Malik Neighbors, then I think you should definitely have some. I don't know. You have the 102 and the 103. You're gonna get Malik Neighbors and somebody else on top of that. That are going to be producing just as much as at least you hope that Marvin Harrison is going to do. So, I'm not sending the house for Marvin Harrison if I have the 102 and the 103. So if I had the end of the draft though, like a 106, 107, 108, maybe we can have a conversation.
Oh, you definitely don't package the 102 and 103 to do it. Definitely not.
Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking one of those picks and Downs. But look, I mean, if we're honest, Dynasty football is supposed to be fun. I know, we all like diving into the real nitty gritty, and I'll tell you two answers. The first logical answer is make sure you get the most value out of your pick, which is what I've already said. The second one is, I know we like to have fun. You're an Ohio State alum, so you can kind of navigate that, but always come back to the stream. We'll try our best to help.
100%.
But I am on the clock here. By the way, everyone's saying that there is nothing reported on Henderson yet, so but
it's all over on Twitter, on X. I mean, I don't see it, but
I think people are talking about Chip, who's transferring. I mean,
yeah, I think maybe it's Chip because Chip is.
Anyway,
I went on his actual Twitter, Travion, but there's nothing there.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm up on the clock here. Bo Nix goes off the board, and I think it's time. Oh, damn it. You guys are really going to make me choose between two of my favorite players. Damn. I really got to choose between one of my two favorite names.
Here we go.
Okay. Ugh, this is tough. For today, these names are in the same tier, but for today, I'm going to shine a little bit of light on a player I really love. We're going to go Jalen McMillan here. At the 208, I'm a big fan of Jalen McMillan. I think you can see a lot of similarities between him and Emeka Egbuka's situations in particular. Emeka Egbuka was injured most of this year. Jalen McMillan also injured for most of this year. Now, Jalen actually tried to play through some of those injuries at times, and that put some pretty bad film out there because he just was not healthy. It was super obvious. But I love me some Jalen McMillan. I mean, slot guru, route running menace specialist, if you will. Ridiculous twitchiness, deceives defenders consistently. He's got that kind of like Kyrie Irving step back, if you will, to his game. Quick, decisive release package, great suddenness. He's a versatile player. They used him in the Wildcat. They let him throw the ball in trick plays. He's a red zone threat. I'm a big fan of this player. And I think now that he's finally healthy, people are starting to see how talented he really is. I mean, last time out in the Pac-12 championship versus the Oregon Ducks, y'all know, we were loving seeing Jalen McMillan finally healthy, putting up some big numbers. So I'm a huge fan of his game. I think in the NFL draft, if people miss on Emeka Egbuka, let's say the Chiefs, for example, who need a wide receiver. I'm not going to say you insulate, you push a wide receiver up your board because he goes to the Chiefs. That's just not what you do. But I'm just saying, name a team at the end of the first who needs a wide receiver. Let's say they skip Emeka. I would say Jalen McMillan is discount Emeka Egbuka in the draft if you get him in the second round. Very good player. I think you're probably getting a Christian Kirk type of player to your offense, a guy who can just really operate in the slot, down the field, a big threat, good speed. And I think at best, his ceiling is like a Keenan Allen type of player with his route running abilities. I think he's really, really, really special type of player. So I'll take him there at the 208. And now Sam is on the clock, but while we're waiting,
Sam is on the clock. Yeah.
Anything you want to say there on him?
Yeah, McMillan, somebody that is interesting. I'm not in. I don't love the player as much as you do. For me, I think it's a tougher pathway. One of the comps that you did say was Christian Kirk. It has to be the right situation. He was drafted to the Cardinals. Christian Kirk didn't work out there. Then he goes to the Jags and he went straight into opportunity. If he's not straight into opportunity, straight into a place where he can produce or be something immediately for a team, then I question it. But the talent is there.
Any prospect, though.
Yeah, 100%. But the talent is there. I think a lot more has to go right for him to be successful as a fantasy player than an actual NFL player. Kind of like Christian Kirk,
I just don't see how this kid shows up to camp and the coaching staff isn't instantly like, oh my God, this guy is always open. So to me, you think about names who were huge steals in last year's draft, like the Tank Dells of the world, the Puka Nakuas of the world. I'm betting my money on Jalen as being that this year. Maybe he doesn't put up the numbers they're putting, but that late round just steal that instantly produces, I will put my money on him. So we kind of see that a little bit differently, and that's okay. We'll see what Sam does here. But McMillan's the third best wide receiver on his team, Alan says. I genuinely don't think someone would say that if they watched the film of all those players. What about you? What did you think of Jalen Polk?
I think McMillan's better than Polk. I would say that. I think the way I would like to utilize and envision McMillan on an offense is better for fantasy and in real life NFL.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say he's the third best wide receiver, in my opinion. But look, Polk I don't think is going to have the draft capital that Jalen is going to have personally. Like, I agree with you. Like, I think he could be a second or third round pick. Once again, all depends on where these guys land.
Dax reminding himself to snipe me. All right, let's see what the pick is here. I love it. This is the other guy I was really struggling with. It's like trying to pick who your favorite child is, really. I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's like, can you really have a favorite between these two names? I love these guys. Definitely sleepers in my mind. And off the board comes Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. His production is not going to blow you away. He did not put up big numbers. I think that's more an indication of the system that he was in rather than the player. You have to keep in mind that he was injured this year as well. But all the guy does is get open. Similar to Jalen, all the guy does is get open in space. And call him Ladd the Space Creator because that's all he does. He creates space consistently. I'm a big fan of his game, so I'm glad he went off the board there. So yeah, we'll see. Mev is on the clock now, so we'll see what he does. Someone says, I hear this guy's name and think of the Trailer Park Boys, which you love to see. Daniel says, isn't Polk a better prospect than McMillan? Not in my eyes. I don't personally believe so.
We don't see that. I think there's a lot of people out there in PFF, I think, likes Polk over McMillan. I could be wrong. But I guess just each to their own. However way you see them. Yeah. But
all right. So off the board goes Xavier Legette, aka XL. The dude is a huge human. I think he's 6'3", 230 pounds almost. I mean, and he's probably gonna run in the 4.3s. Just a ridiculous athlete, and very curious to see how we translate at the next level. But I mean, when you talk about just raw athleticism, he's got it and more. Ridiculous athlete, dude.
Yeah, my guy. I say, I think this is not the best comp, but just body wise, I think it's DK Metcalf. I think the way he moves is crazy. Um, the only downfall with him is his age, and he is an older wide receiver. But what he can do and what he can bring is going to be phenomenal for an NFL team. So I like Xavier XL here at the 210? Yeah, the 210.
Yep,
I would
210.
take him. I think he can potentially go earlier depending on his draft capital, of course. But yes, I like Xavier.
All right, love to see it. Mantra is on the clock here. We'll see what they do next. I think we can do a quick run through the third round.
Third round, okay.
Yeah, I think we can do a quick run through the third round. Alan, I'm going to ask a question. Are you a Texas fan by chance? Look, I love the player that you're talking about, but we keep saying this is just a stacked class, man. You're going to have so much value deep into the draft. That's why we keep telling people don't sell your second round picks. They're super, super valuable. I love the player you're talking about. There's just so many good players in this class. It is hard to really choose. And there goes the player he's been talking about, Adonai Mitchell.
Yep.
You and
AD.
I do like, is it Adonai? Is it Adonai? It's pronounced a couple different ways, but he has a chance to go in the first round. There's definitely some hype. My concern with Adonai Mitchell is I just feel like he's very, his strengths and weaknesses are very clear. And my concern with him is in a NFL where the entire goal is to just get your athletes in space. He's just not a very dynamic after the catch wide receiver. That doesn't mean he's not good at a lot of different other things, because he really is. But that's the one weakness I would really push at, is his yak game. And with the NFL really looking for those type of wide receivers, I'm not 100% sold that he will be a first round pick. We'll see. I could be wrong, but he had a 3.0 yards after catch per reception, which ranks 216th out of 233 wide receivers in college football this year who had at least 50 targets. But again, he does a lot of things really, really well. I mean, he dominated Alabama. He beat Kool-Aid McKinstry many times, which is supposed to be a first-round cornerback in the draft. Great hands, super soft, sure hands, does not drop the ball very often. I mean,
No.
This is a great outside wide receiver. But yeah, we'll see what he ends up being. And Jordan is commenting saying he doesn't understand the hate. I mean, we keep saying it. How many times do we have to say, guys? There are so many talented players. There's no hate here. It's just, who are you putting behind a different player? It's such a good class. I don't understand why we're hating on him, but I guess we are.
Yeah, I don't think it's us hating on him. I mean, I'm going based off my rankings. I would have taken all these guys ahead. Maybe not, Bo or, well, I think I would have taken all those guys ahead of him still. But either way, look, we like him.
Apparently, McMillan and Ladd ahead of him is absurd. I mean, I don't agree, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I think we should be open to opening our minds, but he did say he's a Texas fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would your bias play a part of that there, Alan? But maybe not. Who knows? But we appreciate the fandom.
Yes, you gotta love it. Gotta rep your school. But Jonathan Brooks goes off the board there. Another Texas player. We love Jonathan Brooks. I mean, if he was healthy, he would have been our RB1 in the class. We're big fans of him. But let's go ahead and get into the third round. Let's quick fire through the third round.
Yeah, I'm down. I am down here. I mean, I guess maybe just everyone put. Well, how's it gonna work with the quick fire?
Well, let's just have Dak go, and then we'll just keep going through it.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's see how this works here. He goes Jatavion Sanders.
Okay, so Jatavion Sanders goes off the board, meaning we have 3 Texas Longhorns back to back to back.
Big old Texas.
So you love to see it. Yeah, I mean, he is a little bit undersized, but, you know, if an NFL team is looking for a receiving tight end, he absolutely fits the bill. He's super dynamic in the open field. So that's definitely a great player to go ahead and select here. Now, Brandon is on the clock. What are you thinking here, Brandon?
Let's see.
Sam says, horns down. I'm a Big 12 guy and talking about Texas unless I don't have a choice. Well, you know, Texas is going to the SEC, so soon they won't even be in the Big 12. But conferences just don't matter anymore, do they?
Who? No, they didn't want Georgia to go in or Alabama to go in for FSU, right?
Well, it was either Texas or Bama that would have had to be out if Florida State was going to make it. But yeah, it's a tough call. I don't love personally that a Power 5 undefeated team didn't make it, but everyone has their opinion on it, and there's valid opinions across the board with him. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if Brandon is actually with us or not. I don't see him in the chat, so we're going to go ahead and make the pick for him. So for me, let me ask you where you would go actually, Badaki. Where would you go here? Because there's a couple names that come to mind off the top of the dome.
Well, you can definitely go running back. There's still a couple wide receivers. I'll go with a running back here and somebody that we haven't spoken about at all, honestly. Not much. And let's do Bucky Irving.
Okay, Bucky Irving is off the board.
Why not do a little bit of Bucky here out of Oregon?
Mm-hmm. What do you like about Bucky?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm actually pulling up my notes for him.
Yeah, undersized, you know, kind of change of pace type of running back. Got a lot of work at Oregon. I wouldn't expect him to have that same role at the next level, but you know, in an NFL nowadays where those undersized guys are kind of able to succeed, there's no reason to not take Bucky Irving seriously, despite his 5'10", 195 frame.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what he can bring here is a little bit of excitement for some teams. Even though he does have this smaller frame, 195, I think what he can bring is speed, right? Burst short area ability here. And I think that's exactly what you can see here. Get into some space, and that's exactly what you want. Not only that, the versatility is actually really good. He can play. He's a good pass catching back, I think, at times. And he can also play in between the tackles, and I think that's what's exciting about Bucky Irving. Not somebody that you should go, you know, run up and shout at the top of the hill saying that we got to steal. But if the right situation happens, then why not?
Yeah, I agree. You're on the clock here. So what are you thinking with your pick?
I am going to go somebody that we haven't seen as of yet. I kind of just want to talk about him, and that's Malachi Corley.
Okay.
Somebody that I love here coming out of Western Kentucky, 5'11", 210. He is the screen king. Let me tell you that. Every single play you watch of Malachi Corley, he is catching a screen. My guy is taking it to the house and doing more. He is a bully. When you think of it, he plays with crazy strength. He is a former running back. I think it was running back and cornerback. He was scouted as either running back and cornerback, if I'm not mistaken, which was 2-star, playing in Kentucky, from Kentucky, which I also think is very interesting. He's a hometown boy. So I like Malachi Corley. Great hands, great opportunity to do. It's really hard to evaluate as well his route running, like you have said in the past. But I think what he could be for a team is excitement.
Okay.
And I'll take him here.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of his game just because I just don't see how it translates. And I really just don't understand how to evaluate him. Like you mentioned, it's like you put on his film, it's like every play is a screenplay. So I don't think you can evaluate him as a route runner, but as a weapon, if someone wants to get creative with him, for sure. I mean, he could be very exciting. So in the third round, take a shot on a guy that you like. And here comes a running back off the board. We get Braylon Allen. So Braylon Allen comes off the board. Y'all know we don't dislike Braylon Allen.
It's not his type of.
Just not a running back that we really love per se.
His style of game of run play is not what we see in the NFL anymore, which makes it really difficult to show.
Outside of a couple names, yeah.
Yeah, obviously we've seen the talents of like the Henrys and the big body guys, but we don't. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. So we now have a player that you and I really like out of the running back spot. That is sweet baby Ray Davis.
Look it up.
So we do like us some Ray Davis. I mean, this is a guy that you just want to root for. Now, I don't personally believe that any of these running backs in the third round can really lead a backfield. I talked about this in the one quarterback mock. I mean, if you give Ray opportunities, if your starter goes down, I think he can absolutely fill in really well and give you some good production. But he's just worked for everything that he's ever had, and a guy that you really want to root for. Just overall, a well-rounded player. A little bit older, though, coming out. And then we have Donovan Edwards off the board. Now, Donovan Edwards was a player I really, really liked before this year. Liked his game. Is he
going in?
He
is, right?
I don't think he will declare. But last year, he had a lot of juice. I mean, it was really fun to watch his film. But this year, he's just not the same player. His efficiency is one of the worst in the NFL when you look at the numbers. I mean, his efficiency is truly, truly awful this year. I personally don't think he declares. I think he's going to come back to Michigan. I think he needs to come back to Michigan because I'm not even sure if he gets drafted at this point based off of what he has shown us this year. And then Will Shipley comes off the board. What do you think about Will?
I mean, actually.
Say again.
I guess another guy you liked last year.
I did like him last year. Just he's not an impressive athlete, and you really need to be an impressive athlete at the running back spot.
Yeah, and I think that is a big case here. You know, I mean, 5'10", 210, 5'11", 210. I just didn't see too much that I liked personally. I think he is a good, maybe special teams type of guy. Maybe he does punt returns. Maybe he falls in that special teams category, unfortunately. But I don't really see him as a starting running back in the NFL.
Yeah, I hear you there. There's a couple names I could really point to here as I'm on the clock. There's a running back that really stands out to me who hasn't gone off the board yet. And there's a couple... There's a quarterback still, honestly, as well, that I like here. Man, this is a tough decision. I'm going to go ahead... do I take the running back? Do I take the quarterback? What do I do? All right. We'll grab the quarterback here. This is where Carson Beck is going to come off the board out of Georgia. The guy is just a really good point guard, in my opinion. Great size. And for the NFL, it's absolutely going to translate his size. I don't know exactly where he's going to be drafted. I'm not sure he's going to get the draft capital that we want, but I'm starting to see him mocked in the first round in certain people's mocks. I would be a little surprised if he ended up in the first round, but he just seems like a prototypical NFL quarterback right now, what people are looking for. So I'll grab him there. What's up, Tommy, your boy Bricks? Welcome in, my man.
Love.
Appreciate you. But Sam is on the clock here. Let's see what Sam comes up with. By the way, we are currently just one like away from 100. So if you have yet to hit the like button, go ahead and be a friend and do so. So let's see who Sam decides to take off the board here.
Devin Neal.
Devin Neal. I do like me some Devin Neal. You know, you and I talked about him.
Another guy that we liked. I mean, sorry, I'm trying to pull up my notes here when these last minute ones. But yeah, Devin Neal is somebody that I did like coming out of this class out of Kansas, 5'11", 210.
He's fun.
Yeah, he is fun, and I think you get him another guy. You get him into space. He can do damage here. Now he doesn't have crazy speed, but I think it's a short area quickness. The way that you can get creative with him is exactly what you want to see
Yeah.
with with Devin Neal.
Yeah, I wrote down about Devin. You mentioned it. The creativity is really, really next level. I mean, it's the sports equivalent of performance art. You know, he's just making up his own route as he goes in the open field. It's really, really fun to watch. But he definitely has elite change of direction. Unquestionably, elite change of direction. This dude has the nastiest jump cut you will see. Just consistently embarrassing a defender. But tough guy to really comp. I don't know what the NFL thinks about him. Doesn't really have home run hitting speed, I'd say. I'm not saying he doesn't have adequate speed. He does. But yeah, he's got pretty good speed for sure. So Wilson, Michigan. Oh, is this Roman?
Probably.
So Roman Wilson comes off the board there. See, this is another name that PFF loves. I don't get it. No disrespect to the pick, by the way. It's the third round. Take a shot on the guy that you like. You know, this is why I sometimes question PFF's big board this early into the process. They're smarter than me. Of course they are. But sometimes I start to question it. I'm like, why is Roman Wilson ranked like a second round pick for them on their big board?
I just think they have an algorithm. I just think they have an algorithm that we can't see. On their backside, pause. What? Yeah, I don't know. No, I mean, you said they have him where?
I think they had him ranked as a second round pick.
Oh, okay.
You know, I have some friends who are Michigan fans, and there's two names I really wanted to understand out of that team. I didn't really understand how to value JJ McCarthy, and then the other name was Roman Wilson. I mean, he's putting up big numbers. He looks good, and both of the guys who are Michigan fans that I talked to were like, he's not an NFL wide receiver. They don't see it. But I don't know where to stand on him. He's a tough player. I think he's a better college player than he will be NFL, but of course, take a shot here. We also see the kid out of UNC, the only weapon that really Drake May could rely on. That is Devontae Walker. He comes off the board. You know, in a class with a ton of size, speed, you know, athletic wide receivers, he is a really fun one to talk about. I don't know how much he stands out from the rest of the class, but take a shot on a guy that you really like at the end of the third, you know? Yeah,
100%. Take a shot. I mean, he has that big body frame. Or I think he's like 6'3" or 6'4". I don't have my notes open on him, but he is somebody that can maybe get in the right system.
Sure. Yeah. And we don't know if the Mike Evans, I think, is actually with us. So we'll give him a second to reply here if he is. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and make the pick ourselves. I'm just looking at my options on the board here.
Why don't we give them...
I have a name in mind.
Yeah, I mean, is it a wide receiver?
No, it's actually a running back.
Okay. Well, you can... I was going to give him a wide receiver, but you can give him a running back if you want.
Well, why don't we do, to end, we'll just say a running back and a wide receiver. So this kid is kind of rising up boards, and he's someone that has impressed me. I mean, purely the fact that he's averaged 6 yards per carry in the SEC. He has over 1,400 rushing yards. He's got a very impressive build, 5'9", 214. I used to live in Missouri and was, you know, a lot of Mizzou fans around me. I think this is time to put some respect on Cody Schrader's name. So I'll go ahead and draft him here. I think this is a name that could move up boards. I think this is a name that could move up boards in this process. So I'll take him there at the 312. I mean, the guy is just putting up ridiculous numbers. 13 rushing touchdowns. Again, 6 yards per carry in the SEC. Over 1,400 rushing yards. Over 1,600 all-purpose yards. I'll take him there. It's a weak class, man. I really like it. I don't like this running back class. So someone who puts up that kind of production will kind of get my attention. And then who was the wide receiver that you were going to talk about?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about my Auburn Modern here, out of Ole Miss, Trey Harris.
Okay, I do like Trey.
Not my alma mater, by the way. Did not go to Ole Miss. 6'2", 205. Somebody that I actually really like here. Fluid, very fluid here. Very good hands as well. Somebody that I think you can rely on. Crazy, spectacular catches as well that you've seen from him. And maybe that hype takes off whatever we've seen in college. Maybe he does at the Senior Bowl or whatever, wherever he goes at Mobile, if he does go there, which I'm pretty sure he will, or at the NFL Combine. So I really like Trey Harris here. He was, if I'm not mistaken, 7th in PFF receiving grade, or top 10 in PFF receiving grade. So I like Trey.
A couple other names that would have, let's say, guys who just missed the opportunity here. A couple names: Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. I know a lot of us watched that Colorado versus Colorado State game, and that was very, very entertaining. He made some ridiculous catches. Michael Pratt, the quarterback out of Tulane. Spencer Rattler, yep, he is in this draft. How the mighty have fallen. Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. You know, he's put up some ridiculous numbers. You and I just aren't impressed by the film. Jalen Polk is still available. You know, I don't dislike Jalen Polk. I just think he's more of a product of the environment around him. And you know, maybe I'm just disrespectful. I see a Romeo Dobbs type of player, which could be very successful at the next level. A Zay Jones guy, but I don't think he's a very versatile guy. He lacks yak intrigue, but he's got very good hands. And he's been a reliable wide receiver for that program. Dylan Johnson out of Washington. He's put up some pretty impressive games. Yeah, Johnny Wilson's still available. I don't know. Do we talk about Johnny Wilson? Some people are really upset we don't talk about him enough. And I'll be honest, I just don't see a player who separates at all. Johnny Wilson should have played basketball. He is 6'7", and he looks it. I mean, he does not move well at all.
No, he doesn't. He's just too big, and that's what she said.
Yeah.
I just, genuinely, all jokes aside, I think he's just too big. He's 6'7". He feels very slow, lackadaisical. It's just not something that we are going to be seeing in the NFL.
I guess it could be like Kelvin Benjamin, but that's pretty rare. And that didn't last long.
No, it didn't last long.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I understand why people like him because of his size. We've seen some crazy catches from him. We've seen him doing some great plays in Florida. Yeah. It's just I don't know how that translates. I mean, I don't know a 6'7" wide receiver that has been elite outside of Calvin.
He wasn't even that tall, but
exactly. Like he wasn't even that big.
Yeah, I think Jared makes a good point. I was gonna say it's like if he moves to tight end, it's a little more interesting for me, but he just doesn't move well, and it's not really his fault. Like he's so tall, and he's just so tall and a little bit awkward, and it's tough.
My guy's so big that he's not good.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Shout out to Chip. Chip says, shout out to you guys for going 3 rounds. Haven't seen anyone else out there willing to mock past the first because they don't want to look bad. We don't care. We're just putting our thoughts out there, and I think the whole point is to get difference of opinion out there and start having conversations. I mean, we have people on the stream telling us that if we don't take Texas players in the top 6 straight back to back to back, then we're not doing it right. We got people who are unsubscribing from the channel because we don't like Keon Coleman. We got people, who say J.J. McCarthy is an ex Lamar Jackson. Other people saying he's a bust. It's everyone bringing their opinions all together. I just saw a comment where someone said that Trey Benson isn't a top 10 running back in this class. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't even like...
Who else is there?
I don't even like 4 running backs in this class. How is he not top 10? People say Xavier Worthy goes too late. People say, Brian Thomas is either too high or too late. People love or hate Troy Franklin. I think we don't mind being right or wrong. We just want to have the conversations. And I think the whole point about this is just you guys hearing our opinion, the chat's opinion, and then if you agree or disagree, maybe looking at some more film or watching some more games and forming an opinion of your own. So,
and that's us as well. Like, we're still going to continue to watch film.
100%.
We're still going to form more opinions and get more ideas and understand these players. I mean, if you go look back at our first mock draft of 2023, so much has changed.
Yeah,
I would say leading up to the NFL draft, even before we knew their landing spots, so much changed. So a lot of things are going to change. Maybe what we see at the college football playoffs, maybe what we see at the NFL drafts, maybe what we hear reports, maybe we hear some names taking off. A lot of people like to, look at workout videos and say, holy shit, this guy's faster than I thought he was. He's moving up my rankings three spots. Like, that's what's going to happen. There's still so much more to change. So if you're not happy with what you see, just know that there's another 4 or 5 months until the NFL draft.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Shout out to Mighty Boots for coming out. We appreciate you. She says, rookie mock draft season is back, baby. We appreciate you. Thank you for being a member for 10 months, Mighty Boots. Let's leave 5 minutes for some Q&A here. What about Ricky Pearsall? I haven't dived into his film enough to really speak on him yet. I'll be honest. I could sit here and pretend like I know Nicholas, but I haven't
Sticky Ricky.
I haven't dived in enough to really have a strong opinion on him just yet. But let us know if you guys have any last minute questions here. We'll leave some time. Office Depot says, afternoon. Can't agree with any analyst 100%, but willing to learn. Yeah, I think we're all willing to learn. Alan says, love you guys and appreciate the content. I'm just protective over my horns and feel like they're being devalued here. Well, I hear where you're coming back. I hear where you're coming from for sure. There's just so many good players in this class, my guy.
We like two of your horns, one towards ACL, I really like two, which is Xavier Worthy and Jonathan Brooks, and one towards ACL and the other one in the 112 here. So
yeah. Is Dontavion Wicks the truth? He's nice. It's just a crowded wide receiver room in Green Bay, man. I mean, the more wide receivers that step up, the less appealing it is for fantasy, to be honest with you guys. But he's a nice player for sure. I mean, I went to University of Virginia. Let's go. What happened says, would it be smarter to add all insurance players I can? I already have my running backs covered, or to block other people? I have the 1 seed by a long shot in playoffs week 15. This sounds more like a redraft question. Because I feel like in Dynasty, you're not like actively blocking people on the waivers. I'd be surprised if you could do that.
I think if you're in a 10-man league and there's somebody there that is available that is big, sure. But I think in a 12-man league where your leagues are pretty sharp and you kind of expect that, I don't know if there's anyone that you're picking up to block unless it's like a kicker or a defense.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Jaden Daniels, we love Jaden Daniels. Absolutely love him. I mean, feel free to go back to the beginning of the stream there, Mighty Boots, or even the one from a couple days ago where I hyped him up. Have you looked at Mongaya? I have not looked at him yet.
No.
I have not looked at him yet.
I haven't looked at him either. I know a lot. Look, and that's another thing. There's going to be names
that we aren't even talking about yet. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're going to be on our in our rankings and change, and we might take him in the 3rd round in 2 to 3 months from now. So definitely be aware of that as well.
100%. I don't think anyone could honestly, truthfully tell you they've scouted the entire class at this point.
I mean, this time last year, we didn't scout Puka. I think this time last year
him in January.
I think it was like we scouted Tank, but he wasn't in the top 3 rounds. So
Mystic Flame says 12-team Dynasty Superflex. I have Fields and Hurts only. Give Hurts and a second for Dak, Purdy, and a 2024 mid-first. Have no 24 first. Mid-24 first, that's a very valuable piece.
Yeah.
I mean, here that's Roma Dunze.
12 teams.
So Dak, Purdy, and Roma Dunze, essentially. for Jalen Hurts.
I'm not sure if I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, this is super flex. You have Fields and Hurts. I maybe are you trading away Hurts because you are in question of Justin Fields and you rather get two secure quarterbacks and a mid first? Is that like your thought process there? I don't know if I want to do that. I still want to keep Hurts because I personally believe in Justin Fields. Dak's been balding out, yeah. Purdy, it looks like he is the long-term answer for the San Francisco 49ers. This is what I would say. If you're telling me I can get 2 firsts in Purdy, is that too much for Jalen Hurts? That's what I would rather do. If you're telling me I can get 2 mid firsts and have an opportunity to take Roma Dunze and Amika and Buka and still have Brock Purdy,
I think that would mean that Dak is only worth a mid first. He's worth more than that, in my opinion. I'm on the opposite side of this. Love Hurts. I don't see how Dak doesn't get extended again. He's playing at an MVP level. And Brock Purdy's always been like, since I accepted this time last year that Trey Lance was not the dude, I've been all aboard Brock Purdy. And I just feel like people find ways to hate him. I mean, if he was drafted in the second round, everyone would have him in like their top 10 quarterback dynasty rankings. It's the hate on Brock Purdy. It never ends. One of my biggest buys along with Kyler Murray in the offseason. So to me, I really like this deal. I love Jalen Hurts. Clearly you're getting rid of the best player, but you're building out your quarterback room with a little bit more depth. I mean, if I'm competing right now, there's only 2 other players I'd rather have than Dak Prescott on my roster right now at the quarterback spot. Love Brock Purdy, and you get the likes of a Roma Dunze or something like that. So, I mean, personally, I like the deal, but I can hear both sides. Yeah. Dak says, I learned a lot. I also love McMillan. Will snipe you. Want to see May to the Giants. I love it. Jordan says, if Brock Bowers goes to the Bengals, is he up there with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors? I wouldn't say he's up there. I think you still go the quarterbacks, but he's in conversation. Yeah.
In the tight end premium, I think there's opportunity for him to be in conversation up there.
I would still go Marvin and Malik and in Superflex, the quarterbacks, but he would definitely be in conversation over Rome for sure. Mighty Booch wants to know how you're feeling about the Jalen Hyatt now.
Well, if we get a better quarterback, maybe we could see something. We've seen him develop a little bit. I don't have too much those boxes on him. I think what he's done so far, had his first over 100-yard game. It looks like he's clearly what we thought he was, only a deep threat, and that's exactly how we got his yards. But they like him and they want to develop him as a route runner, which he has been improving a little bit. But let's see what that quarterback is. If Drake May is there, something special could happen.
Is your favorite player Brian Thomas in the class?
Yes, he will be my favorite player in this class.
Yeah.
He is my favorite player / sleeper, or
love it.
My guy in this class.
Love it. Kyle is out of Rutgers, brother of Kevin. You love to see it. Kai says 12-team Superflex, no tight end premium. Mahomes made available. Thoughts on offering Kincaid in a late 24 first and mid 25 first? No tight end premium here. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm interested to know who your other tight end is before you do it. But yes, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Mystic, I hear you. I would take the deal personally. Jamie says good content, a lot to digest, and Trent is here with us. We appreciate you guys. Yeah. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit that like button just to show some love. Subscribe if you have yet to subscribe. We are on the road to 10K, and we are getting closer and closer every day. You guys can help us reach that goal. If you are a 1 quarterback person, you love the 1 quarterback format, we just released a 1 quarterback mock this morning, so go check that out. And the last thing I'll say is, if you guys enjoy the content and you want to kind of have like a deeper dive into what we really do, but Aki and I offer every year what we call our scouting and ranking package for the rookie class. It'll be this PDF of every position. You can see our opinions, comps, comparisons, attributes, projected draft capital. that is something that will be available only to people on the Flock Fantasy website. Make sure you're using our promo code LAND when you sign up. I'll put the link in the chat. In fact, the link is in the chat now. Again, flockfantasy.com/land. Use our promo code. You'll get 30% off. And not only will you get access to our rookie package, which we'll release within the next month, you'll also be able to use our Dynasty trade calculator. Our trade calculator is Dynasty and Redraft. It's the best calculator in the industry. You'll get regular rankings outside of the rookie rankings for one quarterback for Superflex. You'll get articles from all the best minds in the industry. Such a good team we have over there. And if you choose that Mother Flocker tier, which is what you'll need to unlock that rookie scouting package, then you'll also get a Dynasty team review. We will look at your team on a live stream and break down what moves we would make if we were in your position. You unlock the Dynasty Trade Show, which is where we look at your trades every week and give feedback. There's so much in that package when you support us over on the Flock Fantasy website. So, again, put the link in the chat. Go check it out. Make sure you use our promo code so you can get our perks in return. And that is it for today. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you very soon. All up.